Hello everybody, Stephen Howson here with a Friday night FA Cup Derby County preview special, or something along those lines. Anyway, so Manchester United face Derby County tomorrow night in the FA Cup in a game that we should win. But that's not how it works, is it, as a Manchester United fan at the moment? The games that we should win, we don't, and the games where we're due to struggle, well, we do struggle in those, but unpredictability surrounding Manchester United at the moment is the biggest factor. The one thing that we can predict is that we will have a ton more possession than Derby do. We will have a ton fewer shots than we're supposed to do. That's how Manchester United work at the moment, isn't it? I think that we should freshen the side up, whether that means blooding in completely fresh youngsters such as Timothy Fosu-Mensah. I don't think that's likely to happen, but I think it's time that we did look at doing something different. If you do what you always did, you will get the results that you always did. You have to do something different if you want a different outcome. Now, we know that he's probably going to play the same old thing, but there's one thing for me that cannot happen, and that is Marouane Fellaini cannot start in this team. So my team prediction, I say prediction. It's not a prediction, because my prediction would be to say Fellaini will start because he's obviously got some sort of spell over Louis van Gaal. But my team that I would like to see would be De Gea net, for obvious reasons. I think it'll be Borthwick Jackson on the left. I think it should be Varela on the right. I think it should be Blind and Smalling in the centre, because I do think that they work together well as a centre-half partnership. I want to see Herrera alongside Schneiderlin if Schweinsteiger is not fit. Otherwise, it has to be the midfield. I think I would like to see Wayne Rooney in the hole behind Marshall, who's got to play up front. And this is where I think the difference is going to come in. I want to see Memphis Depay on the right-hand side. He's a right-footed player, and I want to see him getting to the byline and putting crosses in to a place where we're going to have Marshall playing. I don't want to see him on the left, because even if Marshall's playing, those two sort of occupy the same sort of spaces, don't they? So I want to see Memphis on the right, Marshall down the middle, and this is where the difference comes in. I think it's time Andreas Pereira got the nod. I was umming and ahhing over who I think would get it between Januzaj and Pereira, and I think on the balance of things, with Januzaj costing us the game essentially with the foul that he did instantly coming off the bench and fouling against Southampton, I think Pereira, he's just hitting such a purple patch in the under-21s, where he's clearly outgrown the under-21 age group, and he's clearly now just starting to mess around almost. He's still putting in fantastic performances, but the things that he's doing every week, it's not just like he's done one thing and then 2 months later he'll do something else. What he's doing on a week-to-week basis is he's doing these no-look shots once he's took it round the keeper. He's doing kick-ups on the edge of the box before putting a shot in. He's doing things that you know that he's cruising at under 21 level. So let's challenge him and let's make him grow, because there's a seriously talented kid in there. So I want to see him on the left cutting inside the way he does, and I would like to go with that youthful three, with Wayne Rooney sort of dictating and pulling the strings and not having to try and get beyond the last defender himself. And I think if we do that and we take Derby seriously, because this is Louis van Gaal's last chance, isn't it? If he loses on Friday night, the calls for sacking him are going to be so loud. Now, I did a daily for Full-Time Devils where I was going off the reports where it seemed like he'd offered to resign. Now, he's come out since and said that he hasn't offered to resign. Now, the thing is, if he did offer to resign and the club said no, he's almost forced to come out and say, I didn't actually offer to resign, because it wasn't made public by him or the club that he did that. So, if he did do that, if he did offer to resign and the club have rejected it, then, as I was saying the other day in my Full-Time Devils video, where I was saying, if that's what he's done, he's got to go. From a PR and whatever standpoint from the club and from Louis van Gaal, he's got to come out and rubbish the claims that he did offer to quit. Otherwise, the club is going to look so weak and so stupid. I'm not entirely sure that the reports coming out today and yesterday that he didn't offer to quit are true. And I actually believe that he did offer to quit at weekend. And I also believe that it's the second time he's offered to do so. Now, there was supposedly a big meeting between Woodward and the players in Louis van Gaal's absence over the weekend. That being the case, I think we should see something different come out of this. I don't understand how you can have all these meetings, you can have all this turmoil, and you can just carry on as if nothing's happened, because all this stuff has happened. So you have to do something different. Otherwise, you're just going to get the exact same results that we've had, which is poor performances, boring, yes, in terms of no one taking risk. I watched the Ronaldo goals program today on MUTV, and I was trying to analyse how that team, the 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009 Manchester United side, when Ronaldo really hit that peak, how they scored goals. And through the midfield and the defence, there was the same sort of passing it side to side, probing, not really doing anything too dodgy or dangerous. Very high press, or very high line from our defence, almost straight into their half. And it was a very, very similar setup, but the difference was Wayne Rooney, was Tevez, was Park, was Paul Scholes, was Louis Saha, there was Berbatov, there was all these players that in the final third, they weren't static. They weren't being marked. They was cutting across each other. They was making angles. They was committing defenders. They was making dummy runs that made a defender look the other way while someone came in on the other side. And it looked so free. Some of the goals, there was a lot of goals that we scored from the outside of the box because we didn't force teams back that slowly, and we didn't have that final third messing around on the edge of the box looking for that perfect pass that's going to split it open, which isn't going to happen when you've got 8 players in front of you on the edge of the box. I would love to see us go back to that. People hark on about the 1999 side, and for me that was one of the best attacking sides I've ever seen. Completely cut people to pieces, but I think a lot of that was down to David Beckham's passing and Paul Scholes' passing. We didn't have David Beckham in that Ronaldo era. What we had was movement. Obviously, Ronaldo was the cherry on the top of it, but we also had a Wayne Rooney that would run every single blade of grass twice in a match. And obviously other players around him helping that happen. We've got a lot of potential in this side, but there's some serious potential. And as Matt Busby always said, if you're good enough, you're old enough. Which brings me right back round to what I said earlier about Timothy Fosu-Mensah. Now, he didn't play in the under-21 game earlier in the week, and he didn't play in the under-18 game yesterday, causing me, basically, to speculate that he might be in the squad for tomorrow night. Now, I haven't heard if he's in the squad for tomorrow night, and I've asked everybody that I thought might be privy to that sort of information, and everyone's just giving me the shruggy shoulders. It turns out it looks like he got an injury on Friday night against Chelsea when we got beat 5-1. So it might have just been a precaution to keep him out of the City game. But I am hopeful that we see Timothy Fosu-Mensah on the bench tomorrow, because that would signal Louis van Gaal looking at something different, because what we have in Timothy Fosu-Mensah is a hell of a football player, and I think he's probably ready to start getting minutes in the first team. He's probably not ready to start. I'm not saying let's start him ahead of Schneidlin. I'm not saying let's start him ahead of Schweinsteiger. I'm saying he's ready for 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there. When Paul Pogba first broke through, I think the debut that we gave him was against Leeds United. I think it was in the League Cup. And he was doing no-look reverse passes over the top to people. And I remember saying to my mate Ben, wow, what a player this kid is. And then we had all those injuries. We ended up playing Park and Raphael centre mid, and Pogba doesn't get a look in. So I am hoping that Timothy Fosu-Mensah can come in off the bench, either against Derby, or maybe against Stoke, or maybe against Midtjylland. One of those games, I want to see him named on the bench. That's the first step. And then from there, let's give him 5 minutes, give him 10 minutes, because he's not going to lose you the game. He's a phenomenal footballer, and I think giving him the game time, the same with Pereira, is going to make them grow. Challenge them and see what they can do, because these are two of the brightest sparks, not just in Manchester United, but I think in world football. You've got two potential world superstars in those two. Let's see what they've got, eh? So my prediction for tomorrow, I've gone a bit off track here with Derby, haven't I? My prediction for tomorrow is probably 1-0 United, and I'll take it, with all honesty. I'll take it just to progress. The performances can wait for now. We need to just turn the results around. We are so close in the league. If we can put a performance together against Stoke, which I'm not hopeful of, but if we can, we're 5th. If we'd have won at weekend, we'd have only been a few points off Arsenal, which I know is not the ultimate target. But when Wenger's getting all this praise about how he's turned them round and turned his team into contenders, and just the pure shit that's coming towards Manchester United and Louis van Gaal, it just puts it into perspective a little bit, doesn't it? That's all I'm saying. Is that we would only be 2 or 3 points off City and Arsenal, who are doing all these amazing so-called things, and we're just shit. Now, I'm not saying it isn't shit, but let's have a little bit of perspective. People talking about boycotting the games, we are 5th. If you want to boycott the games when we're 5th, Where was you in 2005 when the boycotts and the rioting and all sorts of stuff was going on with the protests against the Glazers? Because that's when we should have all stood up. What we didn't do in 2005 in preventing the Glazer takeover is coming home to roost right now, because we didn't invest in the latter stages of Fergie. People talk about the money Louis van Gaal spent, even the money Moyes spent, in all honesty. Sir Alex Ferguson did not leave a legacy when he left Manchester United. He left a broken team. If you look what's left, you can't really argue about all the players who've gone, can you? The players that are left in the first team right now for Manchester United from Sir Alex Ferguson's era is Chris Smalling and David De Gea. Everybody else is new. I suppose Wayne Rooney as well, club captain, but would he really be in everyone's first choice team? I'm not 100% sure that he would at the moment. So at a push, you've got 3 players from Sir Alex Ferguson's era. Where was his future planning? Where was his signings? Where was he bringing in all of these players that was going to make a difference 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line? The reality is, Sir Alex Ferguson, for all the good that he did, he needs to shoulder some of the blame for letting the likes of Paul Pogba go, because there was others in the academy that could have come on and done what Paul Pogba did, but they just didn't get the opportunities. So I've waffled on a little bit longer than I expected to there. Stick it in the comments what you think the score's going to be tomorrow. Stick it in what your 11's going to be tomorrow. Do you want to see us go with any youth players, whether that's from the bench or in the starting 11, or do you want to just see us get over the line and get this round out of the way and move on? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.